Hello, hello, guys. Welcome to Elegant Conversation with Jacqueline Valdez. I'm so excited to be here. So today's guest, we have a champion in pole dancing, Mr. Brian Wolf, and I am so excited to talk to him about pole dancing in the industry as a male dancer and exotic dancer. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube at Elegant Conversation with Jacqueline Valdez, Twitter at Elegant Jackie V, and Instagram at Elegant Jacqueline. And we are also looking for advertisers, so message me if you're interested. All right, let's welcome Mr. Brian.
Hi, Jacqueline. Hi, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys?
I am doing well. I'm so excited to see you and have you here today.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. When you sent me the message, I was like, oh my God. It was so funny. I was like, ooh, I haven't done an interview in a while, so it feels good.
Oh, so much love for you. So tell me about and tell the viewers how you got involved in pole dancing.
Yeah, so actually kind of interesting how I got in is how I kind of want to go into the segue of the men in the industry.
Yes.
So actually I started pole dancing, I want to say like 7 or so years ago.
Wow.
And I started in California, Los Angeles. So it was a pretty big variety of pole studios. And I fell in love with one studio called Luscious Maven. I was actually, I was a sub-in burlesque instructor because I worked with Hell's Bells Burlesque, and they had a class there. So I wasn't pole, it was just dance-based. And I was teaching a burlesque class for my main instructor. I was subbing. And then one of my students was like, hey, you should really try pole. The next class is actually a co-ed class, so you should totally join. And I was like, you know what the hell, I'll just do it. So then I took my first pole class with an instructor named Veronica, and she's still my pole mom, pole coach. She's my pole everything. And we actually stuck together throughout my whole journey. So it's really nice to see her. But it was interesting because the classes that I went to, and there's only 2 on Sunday, they were the only co-ed classes in the studio. All the classes were women only at that time.
Right.
And so I really wanted to get really into pole, and it was kind of hard because the co-ed classes I was taking were only strength and conditioning. It wasn't tricks-based classes. It wasn't choreography-based classes. So I was like, oh, help me out, V. So Veronica, we did privates together for about a year or so.
Okay.
And just one-on-one privates, just me and her. And that's when I think our bond really solidified during those privates. And then Luscious Maven was really nice. They kind of saw like, hey, like we should start opening up the co-ed classes for everyone of all genders. So they started opening up, and luckily now the studio is completely co-ed, which is really nice. And it's interesting because it's like I like seeing this trend go on from studio to studio. So
yes, very much so. Shout out to the studio and to Veronica.
Yeah, Luscious Maven. So they're really great. They're in North Hollywood. And then eventually I started just doing the competition circuit and performing, and fell in love with it ever since.
Yeah, and you have such a unique style too. You're just so charismatic and so charming, and the way that you move is just so exotic and erotic, and you can't help but stare.
Thank you, thank you. That's my goal. That's my goal. I always like to blur the lines of like gender, like what people consider masculine or feminine in my dancing. So it's like I always like dancing really feminine to really like hardcore rap or like really like rocking something. So that's really fun. But
I love it.
It takes time too, just getting comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to ask you, how do you find that confidence, and how do you embrace your sexuality and also feel empowered, you know?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I think too, it's like, we understand as dancers, like sometimes like when you go in the studio and I'm in like sweats or I'm dancing like how I am like dressed today, you know, it's kind of like, okay, whatever. Then once you start putting on the garb, like the makeup, the heels, the fashion, and like, that's when like your beast really comes out. And I always feel like too, and I'm pretty sure a lot of performers like, you know what, like the run-throughs are great and all, but once you're on stage and in that costume and that character, it's just like a whole nother level. It's like you almost black out.
It's true.
You're like, what did I do? And then you have to like look on social media to see if okay, it was good.
Yeah, the adrenaline goes, and you just kind of just go with it. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's so addictive too.
That's so true. So how do you notice a difference in the industry, in the pole dancing industry, with female and how they're accepted in the industry than with males?
Well, I mean, going into pole dancing, I already knew it was going to be a female-dominated industry.
Yeah.
And when I started, we had a lot of pioneers like Stephen Rutchless, Josiah, who were men really going into the industry. And I was like, oh, that's how it can be. That's how it could be really cool.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like even so, it was like 7 years was like long, but not that long ago. Like you can just see how much we've progressed as an industry, including people of all genders, male, female, non-binary people, into like this whole safe space. Because I think that it speaks volumes when you go to different countries as well, because no matter how lost you are, you go into a studio and it's like the same feeling as it is back home, and it's just like a big space where we want everyone to be included. So I think, and we're doing a lot of that with like, we have queer pole groups, Black Girls Pole, Para Pole right now. So I think there's a lot of little sublets to actually like cater to those who are like, hey, I want to find my specific lane. And so I think as the industry evolving, that's pretty cool.
I know, I love it, because now looking back, I started in 2012 and just seeing how much has grown. And like you said, all the different competitions, all the different groups, all the different ages, sizes, colors, it's huge. And the pole industry is such a huge family and so supportive of one another, which is really cool to see.
No, totally. And it's too, and it's like, you think about it too, like half of your friends are like your pole friends, right? So it's like we all kind of get it. We all have like the same like sick humor. And so it's really nice once you start meeting people of different backgrounds and start really getting connected. Cause I think that's what helps build up the industry, you know, as cheesy as it is, but.
No, it's true. What tips would you give someone, a male who is wanting to start in the industry, but they're scared of the taboo, or they just don't even know how to even get started?
That's a great question. Actually, I think the best like advice, and it's like, honestly, just do it. A lot of people do their research as well. So it's like, one of the biggest turnoffs, as I feel as a male going into a studio, is sometimes like the like very, very bright pink, like very, very like gearing towards the feminine side. And it's kind of like overwhelming at first. And you're like, okay, I don't really know if I belong here. And then once you kind of go into it, for me, I kind of started just like blocking it out, and it didn't even faze me eventually. Wow. But that's why I really like one of the studios I teach at in New Orleans, Awakenings Pole and Aerial Fitness, is everything's very gender neutral. So it's like there's very neutral colors, which is really nice because anyone could really go in the studio and be safe. It's not super hyper feminine and it's not super hyper masculine, or it's like in the middle, which is really nice. So as much as it looks like, hey, it's like female, it's actually whatever you put into pole, you're going to get out of it. Right. So if you go into pole and being like, you know what, I just want to do strength-based classes and I just want to perform and just like be like, you know, one of those huge power pullers, like you can absolutely do that in any setting, like if you have the right instructions. So it's a matter of just going in and trying it out, because worst comes to worst, like if you don't like it, you don't have to go back. You say you try it. I mean, you only live once. So I would say try everything once, and if it sticks, it sticks.
I love that.
As much as you like, just try it. Just try it.
I love that. That's such good advice. So what are your favorite things to do? Do you like doing certain tricks? Do you find that certain tricks are more commonly taught with men?
It's interesting because even when I'm teaching my males, I always find that they are very good with arm stuff. So it's like the first thing I'll typically give a guy is I'll just test it like planks or the planches, right? Planches. I always forget what they're called, but planches. And like where they go straight out. And that's kind of the ones where they like start, because you can really test your strength, your abs, like pushing yourself up. And I always find guys are a little bit easier to invert because we're so used to like with our arms, like doing a lot of stuff with our arms. So that's really interesting. And then I always like to throw them a little bit of choreo and see how they put together. They're very good at putting it together, you know. But it's always, I think body awareness is a big thing as well, you know, and no matter if you're a male or female, it's like just kind of being aware of like where everything goes. That's just the main thing. And I think that that's something that I find women are better at than my first timer men. So it's like body awareness a little bit.
Body awareness.
But it's just better teaching it. And usually like people start catching on.
Yeah, very true. How do you stay so flexible and so strong at the same time? Finding
Ooh,
that balance is so
ooh,
hard.
my
You have
flexibility went out the window. Um, Mine was honestly what I did is I kind of found my lane, kind of like I was saying, because I always find if you try to do everything, like if you try to just equal yourself out, what happens is I just don't want to be that like I just don't want to be so in my movement where I lose myself. Does that make sense?
it does,
So
yeah.
for me, I really started blossoming when I started doing heel work and exotics because I was like, this is how it feels for my body. This is what feel good. Yeah, I can do a deadlift here and there, but it's for me, it's like my performing. I'd rather perform on me doing transitions. I'm such a transition and flower
Yeah.
that so I kind of focused on those a little bit. And then eventually like I like to pop in a couple strong tricks here and there. But like going back to your question, like flexibility, for me, I had a fantastic flexibility teacher. Her name was Lena. She taught classes over at Tees in Denver. She was fantastic. And just engagement and those flexibility classes, I know for me, especially, I'm not the most patient person in the world. So
Well,
for me, I kind of just have to like take it in, but it does pay off eventually. And also it's very helpful for safety wise because if you're not flexible and you actually need to like pull something,
yeah.
you could still take those flexibility classes as much as you kick and scream about it. So that was me. That was the kicking and screaming kid. And then for strength wise, I always fell in love with power pole. I was like, I love watching and cool flips and stuff. I'm such a chicken shit when it comes to like doing crazy flips because I'm like, I don't want to kill myself, but it's like the stuff I find, I usually stick with it. So like one of my favorites is like a back flip hick handspring thing. So I was like, I always make sure like I always train my inversions for that one, especially kind of during quarantine where I can't be in the studio as much as I wanted to. So
Okay.
every time I go to the studio, I just make sure I try to like do some pull-ups on the bowl or like really make sure I'm training my handspring grips because those are pretty easy to lose sometimes.
Okay, nice. Yeah, and that's one thing that's so common. And especially from a lot of my students, I hear is, why can I not do the splits in like one class? Why can I not do
Mhm.
the splits in like a month? And you have to just be patient and like take your time and just listen to your body.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Uh-huh. Yeah, because I remember for me, like actually that's a great example. Like I was so impatient with my splits one class that I was like, you know what? Like, why can I see everyone else getting it? I'm not getting it. And I was like, I forced myself into my split and I actually popped my hamstring. So that taught me like it's flexibility is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I couldn't like I'd be like, okay, because now I can't use my hamstring for about like 6 months now.
oh no,
So,
oh my
yeah.
God, sorry.
So that was like, oh, that was a lesson I learned long ago. So then for me, it was like a matter of just taking it in, and sometimes it was actually pretty therapeutic. Like if you dim the lights and like put some nice music on and like candle lights, like that's actually fantastic. It
Yes,
feels
yes, I love
good.
that. It feels good. It's like meditational. It's very getting in tune with your body and
Hmm.
enjoying the journey.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because students, they're always like, they want. They try to take as much, and then sometimes it's like, let's take it down a little bit. Let's take it down, take a flexibility class. So I think it's one of those great things where like people can just visualize because especially when you're in your split, you're like, I'm visualizing getting my full split. Or for me, it was like I really want to get like a really nice like butterfly. So I was like, okay, just imagining those nice long legs, and then visualization just got me through that class.
Yes, yes, nice. So you won Dance Filthy.
Yes, 2018. That was probably my favorite one I've ever gotten because you get this big, beautiful crown,
Yes.
and that's like my baby. So yeah, that was a fantastic performance. One of my favorites.
Yes, I love it. I love it. How did you prepare for the role, and how did you prepare your body for competition level?
That was a good one. So actually, I lived back and forth between Denver and New Orleans. So I was living in New Orleans at the time. And I really fell in love with the culture. I really fell in love with how everything is, how everything's figure it's kind of storybooky, like an adult storybooky, but kind of storybooky. So I just fell in love with the culture, and I actually did a lot of research with voodoo. And so voodoo was kind of like my main inspiration behind it. Um, Obviously, I had to go with the Hollywood style of voodoo, not necessarily like the traditional style of voodoo.
Yeah.
But it was just something I was really passionate about. And I was like, I just love, and it was kind of around Halloween. So like, especially in New Orleans, everything just kind of gets creepier and dimmer in
Yeah.
October, which is kind of cool. So for me, I was like, I fell in love, and like me and my girlfriend Jill, we'd go out to the swamps, and like we'd hang out in the swamps, and it'd be really fun. So like that's when we kind of were like, okay, let's do like a voodoo piece. Like that would be really cool. Like kind of like creepy, yeah, vibe. So that was it. And then for me, like it was just practicing all the time. And it's just like, as much as did not want to go in the studio and practice, I still did. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's a competition. So it's like, you think about trying to like put like your coolest tricks in, but then like for me, I had to go back and scale and be like, you know what? It's like, it's the small stuff that matters. So that's why I was like, okay, I did a lot of creepy stuff because I was like, that's what people usually like. The trick girl was like, that's cool. But it's like when you do like weird movements, like, oh, I remember that. That was so cool.
Yes, I showed one of my pole students, your video, and he was like, "Oh my God, I love him. I have to follow him, and I love him.
So sweet.
I'm obsessed."
Yeah, I love it. Especially like at PoleCon, Colleen added like a creepy showcase. So like now everyone has like their own lane to go creepy. I love creepy performances. They're just so cool.
Yeah,
With the darkness.
Very cool.
I really love it. Yeah.
So how do you choreograph a dance? Do you just listen to the music, or do you pretty much just feel the movements and then fill the music in, or do you write it down, or do you do counts? I know there's so many different ways to choreograph.
Yeah, there is so many types, and it's so funny because no matter who I ask, it's always different. Like I have someone who writes stuff down. I was like, I can't write stuff down because I don't even know what I wrote.
Me too.
I'll write something and then I'll look back. I was like, what did I read? So for me, it was actually, I like to choose the music first, and I like to kind of choose the parts I'm good at, like the flowy stuff. I like to do that first because I feel like that kind of sets me up for what like power tricks I do. And then depending, like if I'm going more like on a story route, I don't necessarily put that much tricks in. Or if I go more for like performance, like showcasing, then I'll kind of up the tricks. That's why I like a lot of theatrical competitions, because I like the story behind it.
Yeah.
And because I think it's easier to immerse myself as a viewer, like in someone's world, rather than just watching like trick. So for me, I really focused almost on the story and like what I wanted to convey. And then when I went on stage, I was just like, wow.
Yeah, and I love you're so dramatic and you're so entertaining and you get so into character, and every move that you make, it seems so intentional. Which
Thank
I love.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sometimes they're not intentional. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm falling. Like there's a funny thing. Like one of my I believe it was my PPC performance, I think from 2016 or 17. I turned around. You can see in the video on YouTube too. I turn around and it looks like I'm walking towards the audience. I was legit falling in my shoes.
Oh my God.
I was so nervous. And I was supposed to stand nice and straight, but I was like losing my balance. So I was like trying to recover. And people were like, oh my God, I love your opening. I was like, oh, thank you. That's what it was meant to be. That was what was supposed to be happening. But oh no, I was about to fall on my ass.
You think very well then.
Thank you. I tried because I was like sitting there. I was like, oh my God. And it's like, okay. It's like your worst nightmare too.
Yeah.
Just literally pivoting and turning around. And
it's always those moves though. So what tip would you give someone who is wanting to compete, but they're pretty much scared to take that first step, or they're scared to get on the stage?
Oh no, that's it. I think, and it's a very common question because I think a lot of people go into pole as like an exercise or as an outlet. Then all of a sudden they like see these like banners at the studio being like, oh, our showcase is coming up, or like a lot of competitions are posting flyers, or like PoleCon, they always like throw out their pamphlets to like the studio. So there's like outlets for that. And I always recommend with people, I always tell them like, I always like recommend great ones that I started off with, like PSO, Pole-Sport.org. They're fantastic because it's a pro amateur competition. So you have your professionals later on in the day, and you have all the amateurs in the beginning, in the morning. And I think it's a good way for people to get into like, and just see how it is, and not necessarily about the win. Because I think a lot of people are like, I want to go for the goal. It's not about the win. It's more about like the stage and the performance. And your first one's always going to be a little dodgy because you're always like, oh, I don't know what to expect. But what's nice is like once you like do your first one, you're like, okay, when's the next one? Oh, we
Yeah.
got to wait for a year. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like showcases are another great one, especially not necessarily like big ones like PoleCon, or like even in studio ones are really great because you're surrounded by friends, you're surrounded by families, so everyone's there to cheer you on. And like in a pole audience, everyone loves to cheer, so I think that's always great. No matter who's dancing, if you know the person or not, everyone just loves to cheer for that person. So it's
Yeah.
a matter of just going in and trying it out, getting some help, maybe doing it with a friend. Group numbers are a great one to start your first time off with. And then like eventually going into like, hey, I'm gonna build together a solo, or like I want to do a little mini solo. Like I think it's tons of stuff to do, and especially gets over your stage fright, because I know that I had really bad stage fright, especially going on a competition circuit. But
Yeah.
like those showcases, or even like after classes, sometimes like we'll perform for each other, just those things, just to kind of get over it, was like really big like self-confidence booster.
Yeah, it really does make a difference. I remember my very first pole competition. I was dancing, I was more ballet at that time, and I was doing a ballet piece to True Colors, the 80s Cyndi Lauper song.
Fantastic.
And I had my hair in a bun. We all had the little Mika outfits, and we had to decorate them. And I had like the little ballet recital thing.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
I was doing like dubstep songs and was doing crazy tricks. And I was just like fluttering around on my own little thing, doing my own
Do
stuff.
your own little flutter forward. I love it.
Yeah. And I almost turned around and quit. I was like, I can't do this. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. And then my best friends were there with me, and they were like, you have to do this. Like, just do it, get it done with. It'll be a nice break, you know, from all the dubstep. Like, just do it.
And it's great. Friends are the best motivators too, because it's like, even if you're like, oh, it's so easy for us to back out by ourselves. Like, oh, I'm just gonna do it. But if you're held accountable by your friends, and that's what gets you on the stage too.
Yeah. Yes, guys. So do it. Do a competition. Get yourself out there. Don't be worried if you have your own style. That's what makes you you, and that's what makes you special, is having your own personality. You know, let it shine.
Yeah, I mean, especially right now, it's like I know a lot of people are not really comfortable on big stages. I mean, there's a lot of online competitions going on right now.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice because you don't necessarily have to leave your home if you don't want to. You know, your own home can be its stage, which is really nice. And yeah, you're doing it into the computer, and sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know who's watching, kind of feels weird. But it's like, it's better. You're still on a stage, you're still competing, and then you're still getting into the circuit. So it's really nice that we have, like, I mean, as sad as it is with kind of COVID right now, like, we do have another outlet, even though if we can't be on our big stages for right now.
Yeah, for right now. How are you dealing with things and dealing with COVID right now?
It's good. It's good. I always say I'm good 2020, and like 2020 since I'm doing good. Right. It's interesting because it's like with me traveling and stuff, it's like, again, I go between here and Louisiana. So for me, I always kind of like keep track of both towns, and luckily right now we're good on both ends. I know Louisiana, we're starting to like open back up really slowly, even though the mayor of New Orleans is kind of opening up a little bit slower than we'd want her to, but she's still opening up. So it's really good. And like, again, it's just hope. I just like just being hopeful with everything. But it's really nice because it's like you start seeing this new influxes of students, and especially like a lot of people who are just coming back from they're like,
we want to get back into it. Oh no, we had a freeze. Hello, hello. His screen has frozen. Please say it works. Please say we connect. Let's get going. Yes.
Okay, there. Okay.
All right.
So, where was I?
Oh, so you were saying the new students coming in and students that had been gone that are back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's the big influx of like that new student coming in, being like, okay, I've never taken pole before. And then there's a student who has been coming in, just stopped during quarantine, like, and now they're like, hey, I'm just trying to get back to what I was doing. And now you have that connection. Cause it's like, I've actually seen a lot of like new student versus old student, like connecting and like becoming friends. And I think that's really nice too.
Yeah, that's
great. Everyone kind of almost got like a little clean slate a little bit. with like everything shutting down. And like, you know, I'm thankful that like people are still wanting to come back and still wanting to donate money to the studio and take classes, because again, studios are small businesses, and not all small businesses were doing great during COVID. So anytime like you can get to a studio, it really helps no matter where you are.
Yes, amen. I have a small studio, and I got hit really hard with COVID. I'm still not teaching group classes. I'm doing privates, semi-privates, and then some Zoom. But I did not get all the extra stuff that a lot of the businesses got, you know. So
yeah, I have a lot of friends who own studios, and same thing. They like, you would think you'd get a lot of stuff, but it's like,
yeah.
So, a lot of fundraisers, which was great. A lot of our students were doing fundraisers, which really helped us, especially with some of the groups in Louisiana, because we wouldn't have made it without them. And so that was really nice that they did some fundraisers. But
Shout
yeah, I know exactly. Like the crew, they're called Crew of Ass. So like we have little crews down in New Orleans, which is like basically a little group of people, and they always throw something during Mardi Gras. So we have a crew at our studio called Crew of Ass. It's this alien space squad. So they always do like Star Wars themed stuff for their little sections and their Mardi Gras parades. So
fun.
And they pull, which is really nice. It's like cool. Like they're the only people who pull in the parades, and we're like, I know them.
Very cool.
They threw like a big fundraiser, and that was like, it raised like a few $1,000s for us. So it helped us keep a roof over our heads. So in the pole community is great. Like you saw how many people would go out, and I saw it on the news too. Like on Facebook, and like people would be like donating money to their studio owners, and like so it's really nice if like people can just like help out small businesses.
Yes, support the arts. Thank you to the people who have donated to me too. Really, shout out. Yes, love. But you also do exotic dancing. So tell me about your most crazy story.
Ooh, that's a good one. Everyone always likes those crazy exotic dances.
Right?
Actually, funny enough, my crazy story actually wasn't with the people. It was actually with the building.
Okay.
So, because I would strip at a bar called Bourbon Pub in New Orleans, French Quarter. So our building was actually haunted, and it was on the haunted pub crawl tour after I like started. Like it was like weird because like groups of people, like their tour guides would pass the building, and I'm like, my butt's out, like facing like the street where there's children. And I'm like, I would always be like, what the hell is like passing? Why are people like stopping? And it's like part of like the crawl tour.
Wow.
So I remember in the dressing room a couple times, I would hear my real name being shout out, Brian, not my stage name, because my stage name was Madison at the time. And I'd hear my name, Brian, being called out. And I was like, well, first of all, the only other person who really knows my real name is my roommate. And it's a guy, and he was like, he's a big dude. And I was like, it was a woman. So yeah, and like I found out there's like a legit like ghost of a woman that like walks around like early hours in the morning, and like people say like she shouts people's names and stuff, and she hits people.
Oh my god, that's so great.
First of all, I wanted to meet her. I was like, good stories, but yeah, like she'd hit people's like if they're up on the bar or something, or if they're saying they're not paying attention because we had tall bar stools, she would hit the bombs at their feet.
Oh my god, that's so crazy. Wow.
Yeah, so that's like probably my craziest story is like,
that's a good one.
I love the paranormal stuff, so that was it.
Yeah, that's a good one. When I first moved into my house, I thought I had something happening because I was in my hallway by myself scraping wallpaper, and I thought I heard a woman's voice, and then I heard my name being called, and I thought it was my mom, but it wasn't. It's when I first moved in here. Yeah, I was like, what is going on?
Oh my god, has anything happened since?
No. No, I've done lots of staging and lots of cleaning now, and lots of like pretty much the last year I like ripped my house apart with some friends and like and some people in the community, and like
Good.
So all
my friend did that too, where she started hearing some stuff, and she was ripping up the carpet, and there was dream catchers in the carpet.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow. So what future things do you have coming up for you?
So future things coming up. Ooh, I'm trying to think. I was like, my future is kind of foggy right now because I was like, everything going. I know for a fact I will be at PoleCon in New Orleans next year. I believe it's June. I forgot Colleen's new dates. It's going to be June. I will teach and perform. And also I will be getting my tour guide's license. So I'll be giving professional ghost tours in the French Quarter, hopefully during that time. So
Wow.
I'm excited about that. Otherwise, I'm trying to think. I think that's off right now.
Okay.
I
And
always see me at PSO. I always work with PSO, so to see me at the PSO stages. And if you're ever in Denver, New Orleans, check out T Studio Fitness or Awakenings Pole Aerial Fitness, and I'll be there. And I do
yes,
online classes too, so if you ever need online stuff, let me know.
yes, yes, yes. I was just going to ask you where we can find you, where everyone.
Oh, yes. So my on Facebook, it's Brian Wolf. Or if you're on Instagram, it's at Boo Boo Brian, BOOBOOBRIAN. So even if you do Facebook /Boo Boo Brian, it'll go right to me. Everything's Boo Boo Brian. That's
nice.
That's just my hashtag. I was going to change it. And I was like, you know what? It's too down the rabbit hole for me right now.
It's you. I'm actually going through the middle of changing my name and different stuff and branding and stuff too. So
yeah, it is a pain sometimes too, trying to keep up with that stuff.
Yeah. How did you come up with Boo Boo Brian?
Funny enough, I'm born on October 29th. So I was actually due on Halloween. So my mom always called me Boo. And then like my close family would call me Boo Boo. And then when I went into burlesque, my burlesque stage name was Boo Boo Rebel. And then so the transition from burlesque with the Boo Boo and then Brian, and I was like, that'll be my hashtag or my Instagram handle. So then I put on Instagram, and then people started calling me Boo Boo, and I don't say anything. So
I love it. I love it. So exciting. So is there anything else that you want to tell the viewers?
Stay you, stay beautiful. We're all in this together, as cheesy as it is. And again, support your local small businesses. I think that is really important right now. And there's tons of outlets too. And you can check me out, or if you need recommendations for anyone you want to find for, like, that's your style, or like, hey, like, what's some good music? Like, I'm there for you. So
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and I'm actually from Denver. So I want to go back sometime, and I'll have to come visit you.
Oh, come visit. Yes, I would love to party with you.
Yes, yes, yes. So what is something that you want to be remembered for?
What I want to be remembered for in the industry?
Just anything in life, in the industry, whatever you want, or both.
I know in the industry, my ankle work. I love dancing with flexion in my feet, and I love having the watery effect. I learned that from Anne-Marie Davies, who's a teacher in LA, the Queen of Sexy. She was the one she's like the queen of the sexy, queen of the ankles. I'm like, yes.
Yes, yes.
So I was like, and then from there, I kind of started developing like my own personal flow with my ankle flexion. So I think in the industry, that's what I want to be remembered for.
Nice.
In life, that's a deep question. I would say for me, like my energy and my kindness, I guess.
No.
I always like to be there for everyone and give everyone good vibes.
Yes, and you do that. You are on the path. You are inspiring so many people, and you have such good energy, and there's so much love for you. It was such an honor to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Jacqueline. It was so honored to be here. Thank you so much for asking me. I was seeing you on I always check you out on Instagram Live when you do your interviews.
Oh,
okay, Jacqueline.
Hi. Yes, thank you so much for illuminating the world and illuminating with your voice. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. So much love. Thank you guys for tuning in. So follow
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, and also we are starting to add advertisers. If anyone's interested in being a part of our show, message me.
Yeah. Come on.
All right. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Take care.